Hello, and welcome to episode 97 of WrestleRotica, the podcast that combines wrestling with erotica. This week we have 3 stories to share with you. The first story is entitled Locker Room Encounter. After a competitive match, Ember Moon encounters Liv Morgan near the showers. Ember doesn't expect much, but quickly realizes that Liv needs reassurance, and the two quickly hit it off. The second story is entitled I Have Something to Show You. Nikki Bella and Natalya have been hooking up for months, and Natalya decides that she will surprise Nikki by introducing a toy to their play. Natalya tries to dominate Nikki, but Nikki has other plans. The third and final story is entitled 50 Shades of Bray. She didn't know what it was that attracted her to Bray Wyatt, but she couldn't deny that they had some kind of amazing chemistry. One day at SmackDown, the two arrive early and quickly explore their chemistry. Without further ado, let's get to this week's stories. This story is entitled Locker Room Encounter, and it was written by WoW FM member The Dud. Ember Moon walked backstage to the locker room, feeling confident after her match with Liv Morgan. She was undefeated in NXT, and she knew she had a strong case to challenge whoever won the NXT title after TakeOver San Antonio, and she was hoping that Asuka would retain so she could prove herself by beating her. She was well on her way to the title. It was just a matter of time now. She smiled at the thought of winning the belt as opened the door to the locker room. Ember made her way to the shower area before she spotted a topless Liv Morgan putting her clothes into a locker. Ember assumed she was about to take a shower as well, after the first match the two had. Liv was a fiery girl, and she knew it was just a matter of time before she started stringing some wins together. Ember couldn't help but admire the beautiful girl from New Jersey. Liv had some beautiful B-cut breasts that were just as tan as the rest of her, not to mention some gorgeous abs. Ember was pretty sure Liv was straight though. Aww. So she quickly tried to put the thoughts out of her head. "Hey!" said Ember. "That was a great match tonight." Liv jumped out of shock before turning around and seeing it was Ember Moon. "Sorry, I didn't see you come in," said Liv, looking like she was upset about something. "Yeah, I suppose so." "What do you mean you suppose so?" said Ember, as she started getting undressed for her shower. "You were great out there. That was anyone's match." "I don't know," said Liv, as she stuck her fingers in her waistband and started pulling off her tights. "I guess I just wanted to actually win this one. I'm just tired of losing all the time." "Look," said a now naked Ember, "no one starts off winning every match. The only reason I'm undefeated is because of my experience on the independent scene before. You'll start stringing some wins together." "I'm not you though!" screamed a naked Liv Morgan, now visibly upset. "You're talented.
Yes!
And athletic.
Yes!
And gorgeous.
Yes!
And everything I'm not. How am I supposed to match up to someone as amazing as you? How are you supposed to want to be with?" Liv's sentence trailed off as she broke eye contact with Ember Moon and just started staring at the ground like she was embarrassed. "What was that last part?" said Ember Moon with her hands on her hips, showing off her massive tits and her shaved pussy. "It wasn't anything," sighed Liv Morgan. Ember walked up to the upset blonde and brushed her hair out of her face, leaving her hand lingering on her cheek. "You are talented, you are athletic, and you are gorgeous," said Ember as she looked Liv in the eyes again. "I know what all of this looks like, and trust me, you have it. I promise you, as long as you keep trying, you will be successful, and I'll be believing in you every step of the way." Liv looked shocked, like she had never heard someone say they had believed in her before. Ember could feel Liv's hot breath on her while she was this close to her, and she had to admit, it was starting to turn her on. Liv looked like she was contemplating what to do, before she grabbed Ember's head and pulled her close. Ember was shocked when she felt their lips lock. The kiss only lasted about a second, before Liv broke it off. "I'm sorry," said Liv, almost on the verge of tears, as she realized she might have just ruined their friendship. "I don't know what Ember stopped her by putting a finger on her lips. "You don't have to be sorry," said Ember. Ember then grabbed the naked girl by the back and pulled her in close before she pressed her lips against Liv's again. Liv seemed like she didn't know what to do at first when Ember's tongue entered her mouth, but she returned the favor as they embraced in a French kiss. Liv placed her hands on the Dallas girl's shoulder and ran her hands up and down Ember's smooth skin as the kiss continued. Ember decided to take it up a notch by pushing Liv up against the wall before grabbing Liv's tanned rear. Liv responded by grabbing Ember's firm ass, and Ember knew without a shadow of a doubt that Liv would want what would come next. Ember left her left hand on Liv's ass as the right hand slowly moved across to Liv's front. She slowly got closer and closer to her pussy as the kiss continued before pushing two of her fingers inside Liv. Liv let out as she realized what just happened, but still didn't break off the kiss. Ember started off slowly as the deep kiss continued, as Liv's hand further explored the smooth skin of Ember, running her hands down her backside and her ass. Ember sped up the pace of her fingers, and Liv had no choice but to break off the kiss, because of how short a breath she was. Ember looked into the eyes of the girl from New Jersey, who looked like she was in heaven right now. "God, you're beautiful," said Ember as she smiled at Liv. Liv looked like she wanted to respond, but didn't. Like she was worried that the intense pleasure she was feeling would vanish if she spoke. Liv grabbed Ember again and pulled her in for a big hug. Liv placed her head on top of Ember's and her hand on her ass as she felt her orgasm starting. Liv moaned in pleasure as she squeezed Ember's ass as she came. She seemed like she was trying to pull Ember in closer, like she would lose Ember if she let go, as her body was engulfed in pleasure. Liv almost fell over as her orgasm finally came to an end, but Ember grabbed her by the back before she could. "Are you okay?" said Ember as she held the adorable blonde up. "Yeah!" responded Liv, out of breath. Liv regained her footing as she stared at the ebony superstar who was still holding onto her. "Would it be okay if I make you feel like that now?"
Oh yeah!
asked Liv. "What kind of question is that?" said a smiling Ember. "Of course it's okay." Ember finally let go of Liv as she walked over to a wall and sat down with her back facing the wall. Liv smiled as dropped down next to Ember's pussy, running her cheeks along Ember's thighs before giving Ember's moist, intimate part a lick. Ember gasped as she felt Liv's tongue enter her. She didn't seem like she had done this before, but Liv was clearly trying. Liv's tongue circled the inside of her soaking wet pussy, like she was trying to make sure she tasted every last part of Ember. Ember back straightened up as the pleasure coursed through her body. The entire ordeal had Ember extremely wet, and she knew she wasn't going to last long. Liv then pulled her tongue out for a split second, right before she placed her mouth on her clit, and started sucking on it. This was enough to finally send Ember over the edge, as she felt her thighs tighter around Liv's head. Ember felt the pleasure shoot through her body as she screamed before falling down on her side out of exhaustion. Liv crawled up so her face was right next to Ember. "Ember." "Hey, Liv," said Ember as she smiled back at Liv. "Was this real? Did it mean everything?" Ember smiled at the beautiful blonde for a bit, before Ember placed her hand on the cheek of the superstar, who was eagerly awaiting an answer. "I love you," whispered Ember. Without hesitation, Liv grabbed Ember, and the two started making out again. Ember could taste her own pussy on Liv's tongue, as the two made out with their bodies tangled up on the locker room floor. The end. This story is entitled, I Have Something to Show You, and it was written by Wow FM member Jess Weeze 123. Tonight, I have something to show you, Nikki. After their match on Sunday, Natalya practically dragged Nikki Bella to their shared hotel room. The pair had been going out for several months or so, and had often hooked up on the road and in hotels. Tonight, though, Natalya had something in mind. Arriving at the room, both women strolled in. In the center of the room was a queen-sized double bed, with red and white duvet and mattress covers, respectively. Dumping their bags into the far corner of the room, Nikki lay on the bedsheets gazing at Natalia. "What do you think you're doing?" asked Natalia. Laying down?" The blonde shook her head. "No! Tonight we're doing more than that." She pulled the busty brunette up off the bed and began to undress herself out of her leather jacket and skin-tight jeans, before placing her fully naked body against Nikki. Her nipples were hard as ice as she began to gently circle and grind against Nikki's breast with her own. "So, do you like what you see, Nikki?" She caressed Nikki's ass with her hands. The brunette returned the action. She whispered into Natalia's ear, "Help me get this shirt off, and I'll be all yours, baby." Wasting no time, Natalia quickly let go and undid the lace of Nikki's crop top and shorts, letting loose the larger-than-life C-cups of the woman before her. "That's what Mama likes to see!" Natty muttered as she began fondling with Nikki's ample breast. She then lifted the brunette up, before gently dropping her on the bed back first, whilst Nikki's long legs still straddled around Natalia's waist and arms wrapped around her neck. "Come on, baby! Play rough with me!" Nikki begged. "No, not yet." "Come on, you teasing little slut!" Nikki pulled the blonde in closer to her body, forcing Natalia's face into her cleavage. "Go on! Lick it!" Natalia complied, trying to force the brunette to let go, as Nikki began to moan in pleasure and satisfaction. Her moans filled the small room as she clutched the sides of the bed they lay upon. Natalia began to lift her head up and saw Nikki Bella sprawled out on the bed, eyes shut and smiling. Natalia decided now was the time. She quickly grabbed the smaller diva by her hips and turned her over, so her ass was facing the air. "Hey! What are you doing? This is my surprise for you, Nikki, baby." Fastened around her waist was a strap-on with harness, and Natalia looked fucking sexy. She quickly pounced onto the prone Bella, before swiftly inserting the pink dildo far into Nikki's vagina. She let out a loud moan. "Oh! Does little Nikki not like that?" Natalia said mockingly, not caring for what her partner had to say. "Natty! Baby! No, no, no! I'm gonna fuck the shit out of you, Nikki!" With that, Natalia smacked Nikki's right cheek, which turned the golden tan into a light red. She began to thrust her hips backward and forward repeatedly. "Yeah! You like that, huh?" she taunted. I bet you want more, don't you, Nikki?" She continued to thrust the pink dildo in and out. Natalia's D-cup breast jiggled to the fast rhythm as Natalia quickened the tempo of her action. "Fuck me, Natty!" Nikki yelled, her voice full of sexual pleasure. "I'm gonna peg you more, little slut!" Natty said as she retracted her dildo and forcefully turned the brunette in her back before reinserting her toy. Natalia's thighs crashed against Nikki's as her legs pointed high into the air. Nikki's point of view. As Natalia fucked her, Nikki thought to herself, "God, she looks hot with her dick, but I know where she'd look hotter." Natalia spoke while thrusting. "Don't you come for me yet, Nikki," Natalia ordered as she began to caress Nikki's large breast, groping them as Nikki's whole body vibrated and shook from the force of Natalia. "I'm gonna come, Natty!" Before she did, Natalia suddenly stopped, but kept the strap on in and leaned down to Nikki's face and breast. She whispered, "Oh, did you just come for me?" Yeah? Do you know what that means, Nikki?" She shook her head. "It means..." She stood up on the bed before continuing, "You're gonna clean it." With that, she pulled on the long brunette's hair, facing her, forcing Nikki up and into Natalia's lower body, directly facing the pink dildo. Nikki protested, but Natalia was too strong for her to move away. "Go on! Open your mouth, you slut!" She wiggled her hips, moving the cock across Nikki's lips, before thrusting into Nikki's open mouth, deeper and deeper, until Nikki practically kissed Natalia's large thighs. Natalia laughed. Ha 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 ha! Yeah! Suck my cock, Nikki! She kept one hand perched on the younger woman's head, bobbing it in a forward and backward motion for Nikki to suck, whilst keeping the other hand on her own double D breast, gently circling her nipples. If Nikki wasn't satisfying her now, why shouldn't she do it herself? Yeah! I bet that tastes good! Nikki stared at her dominator above her, only seeing the blonde hair and eyes, blocked by her unleashed breast. She began to move her own hands to Natalia's waist, loosening the harness attached. Natalia failed to notice. She began to slide her fingers in between the straps in Natalia's thighs. Natalia didn't notice. She suddenly pulled down the harness from Natalia's waist. Natalia noticed. What the fuck, bitch? Natalia reached for the strap-on, but it was now in Nikki's hands. My turn, Natty! I don't think so! Natalia grappled with Nikki on the bed. The strap-on lay on the floor to the side. Natalia kept Nikki held down and began to finger her pussy. One by one, Natalia added her trimmed nails deeper into Nikki's entrance. Nikki flowed her legs to try and disrupt Natalia's efforts, but to no avail. Like with her cock, Natalia thrust her fingers in and out with the rapid motion. The quicker she made Nikki come, the quicker it would be to get back her toy. Nikki could feel the rush of an orgasm coming. She didn't know how much longer she could last. There was a stronger, more deviant blonde laying on her, dominating her. Nikki couldn't let herself come again out of her own personal dignity. Freeing one of her own arms, she managed to shove the blonde off of her chest, bewildering Natty. Using this momentum, Nikki quickly forced herself upon Natty. She was going to trick her lover and dominate her into submission. She began to rock Natalia's body, circling her D-cup tits with her own C-cups, and also rubbing their throbbing clits against one another. Nikki extended her reach to the sides of the bed, gripping them as hard as she could, as to stop Natty simply turning her over and putting Nikki upon the bottom. I'm gonna make you come, Natty! Natalia had no response, only quiet moans of pleasure, as the brunette on top of her tripped faster. The rough pussy rubbing increased with Natalia's rising orgasm. Wanting to avoid this, Natalia began to spank Nikki's fat ass. It jiggled under the shock Nikki faced as Natalia began to spank harder and quicker. Nikki winced in pain, but knew this pain would be shadowed by the pain if Natalia got her strap-on back. Nikki needed to get the strap-on now. She quickly dove off the bed and grabbed the strap-on. Natalia was too far away to hold her. Nikki had a devilish grin on her face. Now, where were we, Natty? You couldn't fuck me if you tried, Nikki. You're just my brunette bitch. Nikki was being called a bitch for the last time tonight. She quickly slid the harness up her legs before fastening the straps in place around her golden tanned body. Like what you see, Natty? Nikki said mockingly. Natalia still had a face of thunder. Moving over to Natalia, Nikki pushed the blonde onto her back before grabbing a hold of her ankles. She slowly pulled Natalia towards the strap-on, with Natalia desperately trying to tighten her grip on the scrunched up bedsheets. Slowly but surely, Natalia's interest had reached Nikki's strap-on, with the blonde's leg supported by Nikki's shoulder. Nikki thrust her cock deep into Natalia's pussy. I'm a winner! You like my winner cock? Oh, never come! Nikki placed her arms behind Natalia's neck before hoisting the busty Canadian upwards, but still kept her perched in the pink dildo. Lifting the diva was hard enough, but Nikki had to make sure she dominated Natalia in return. Thrusting her hips into the air, Natalia was helpless as the strap-on penetrated and rocked her body rough style. Nikki continued to hump her fat ass. After a few more minutes, Nikki let the blonde off of her toy as Natalia collapsed on the bed. Is that enough for you? Exhausted in pain and pleasure, Natalia answered. Yeah, baby. Removing the strap-on, Nikki laid on Natalia's prone body, tits meeting tits, and began to stroke her long blonde hair. We should do this more often. Tomorrow good? Yeah, but my turn first. She planted a kiss on the blonde's lips before both fell asleep, completely naked in each other's arms. The end. This story is entitled 50 Shades of Bray, and it was written by Archive of Our Own user, WWE Sponge Fan.
So you think you're sponge worthy?
50 Shades of Bray. You didn't really know it when you first saw him, but you and Bray Wyatt were destined to be together. There was just some kind of hidden chemistry. You hoped he wouldn't notice you staring at him. At times you felt his eyes on you. You would smirk and walk down the hall, wondering if his eyes were still on you. He would watch as you left. No words were ever spoken. As the weeks went on, you knew you had a strong desire for him to have his way with you. You wanted him, but you wondered if he felt the same way. One day you made your way through the empty hallway. No one had showed up for SmackDown yet. You felt eyes on you. No one was there. You felt scared for some reason as you made your way down the hall. When you least expected it, one of the doors opened, and a pair of hands grab you and pull you inside. You screamed at first because you didn't know what was going on or who it was that grabbed you. You felt strong hands on you and knew that it must have been a man that grabbed you. He pulled you into a room and quickly shut the door. You could hear it being locked. It was dark in the room and you were terrified. Suddenly you heard his voice and relaxed a bit. You would recognize his voice anywhere. Relax. I'm not going to hurt you. Unless you want me to. Bray? Shh. I've enjoyed our little game of cat and mouse. What do you mean? I've seen the way you look at me, how you tease me when you walk away, but I can sense you enjoy our little game too. And now you're in my trap. You're not sure if you should be terrified or excited. I'm hoping it's a little bit of both. There was a dim light in the room. You could hear him, but couldn't see him, but could sense that he was close. His arms wrap around you, and you could feel his breath and his beard on your neck. You're beautiful, so hard to resist. You like playing hard to get. Well, now, I have you right where I want you. You could feel the wetness down below, and had to do your best not to moan in pleasure. It was then that you knew you both had sexual tension towards one another. I've had my eyes on you, but if I'm not mistaken, you've had your eyes on me too. Correct? Now, out in the ring, I'm a man that gets what he wants. But I'm giving you a chance to walk away right now. You have no idea of the things I want to do to you. You could feel his breath and beard on your neck, and his hardness poking at you from behind. It sent a shiver down your spine and let out a small moan in pleasure, hoping that he didn't hear. He let out a dark chuckle, and you knew then that he had. So it seems you are a bit terrified and excited. I can feel you shaking. You want to be here, don't you? You want to be locked in here with me. His breath and beard wasn't the only thing you were feeling now. He started placing gentle kisses on your neck. You bit your lip as you felt yourself getting even wetter, and let out a moan first before answering him. Yes, Bray. He suddenly stopped kissing your neck, and you let out a small whine. He chuckled at this. Tell me what it is you want me to do. You turned around to finally face him. You could see the dark look of lust in his eyes, and finally answered him. Please! Kiss me, Bray. This time he kissed your lips. He was very talented with his tongue, as your tongue slowly started to tangle together. You moaned into his mouth as the kiss intensified. It didn't take him long to find his dominance, and he pushed you up against the wall. He stopped kissing you for a moment and spoke. Forgive me, but I like being in control. You were breathless at first from the makeout session, and had to catch your breath. You only gave him a smirk before giving him a response. Do what you want to me. Nothing else needed to be said as his lips were back on yours. He held you up against the wall as you started moaning into his mouth. This seemed to excite him even more because you could feel his full hardness against you. And that was when he started removing clothes. He removed his shirt first. He looked really good. You started moving your hands up and down his arms and strong chest. He was slowly enjoying himself as he removed your top and bra. He would place kisses on your neck and slowly down to your breast. He would take one of his hands and enjoy the feeling, while his mouth was on the other. It was getting harder and harder not to moan out in pleasure. You bit your lip as you knew there was a risk you could get caught. You felt weak in the knees and Bray had to hold you up. Make as much noise as you want. No one is here yet. We're not going to get caught. But doesn't that add to the excitement? He seemed to have read your mind and you started letting out small moans as he made his way further south. He unbuttoned your jeans and they fell to your ankles. He smirked at you as he saw you in a desperate position. He eyes your panties and as he kissed you again, one of his hands felt your wetness from the outside. He broke his kiss and chuckled at you as you whined for him. Bray, please, please. You're soaking wet for me. I kind of like that you're begging. Beg for me. Tell me what you really want. Please, Bray. Please. I want you to fuck me. I want to be choked, tied up, and fucked so hard against the wall. Please, Bray. Only you. Bray chuckled at this. He was surprised at how specific you were. He slowly pulled down your panties, teasing you some more by not touching you where you were aching to be touched. All in good time. But you forget. I like to be in control, and I want to have a bit of fun of my own first. He smirked at you as he removed his pants and underwear. Both of you completely exposed to each other. You gasped as you saw how big he was. He saw the look on your face and laughed. See something you like? Or are you terrified? A little bit of both. I like that. It excites me. He had you pinned up against the wall. You felt both fear and excitement. You were so caught up in that feeling that you were caught off guard when you felt one of his hands between your legs making their way up. He finally stopped teasing you and placed a finger inside you. At first you moaned out in pain, and then pleasure. Bray seemed to catch on. You're so tight! Have you done this before? You sighed and shook your head no. You were a virgin, but the things going through your head were quite the opposite. No, but please don't stop, Bray! I want this. I want you. Bray was concerned, but wanted to give you what you wanted. Okay, but if you start feeling too much pain, let me know and I'll stop. No! Please don't stop! Bray laughed as he continued, and added a second finger, and heard you moan. Okay, but I warned you. This is only the beginning. I only have my fingers inside you. Bray finally added a third finger, and he let you adjust. You were feeling pain, but that pain slowly turned into pleasure. He could tell by the look on your face that you had adjusted to his fingers, and he slowly started pumping them in and out of you, causing you to moan again. As he sped up, your pants and moans started getting louder, and you could feel something building inside of you. Bray could sense you were getting close, and he sped up his movements even more until you came on his fingers and called out his name. He brought his fingers to his lips as he tasted you. Then he kissed your lips again. You taste wonderful. I have to have more. Your legs were shaking and he held you in place. He got down between your legs and laughed as he looked up at you and smirked. I think it's time you learned why I'm called the Eater of Worlds. You didn't even have time to respond because his tongue was already going to work inside of you. You couldn't stop the moans that came from your mouth. You found your hands in his hair as he buried his face inside of you, his tongue going in and out of you, and then circle sent you over the edge again. He laughed at the look of pure pleasure on your face. You forget! We haven't even got to the good part yet. Now, remind me what it was you wanted again. He smirked at you. He remembered. He just wanted to hear you say it. You were blushing now. Come on! Don't get all shy on me. You looked at him and smirked. I want you to fuck me so hard against this wall. I want you to tie me up and choke me. You were leaning into him, but he was trying to push you away. He was freaky like that, and always had some kind of rope with him. There were little hooks in the wall. Bray spotted them and thought that would be the perfect place to tie you up. You still wanted to play hard to get. You could tell he wanted this too. You stayed where you were. It was all part of what you wanted. Bray had to drag you over to where he wanted you. He forced your arms above your head and tied them together before tying them to one of the hooks. The look on his face seemed to change as he looked more dangerous. Or maybe you felt more vulnerable now that you were tied up. You wanted this. You wanted Bray to have his way with you. He took your breast into his hands, getting you excited as you started moaning again. His tone was serious now as he looked into your eyes. You made me drag you over here, and for that you'll have to be punished. His view of punishment was sweet torture to you. He pinched your nipples, causing you to moan out in pain and pleasure. He turned you around briefly, and you were now briefly facing the wall. A hard smack was heard in the room as he smacked your ass. He enjoyed the cry that came from your lips. He could see that your ass cheek was already red. He thought that it was a good form of punishment, and thought that it was something you wanted, as his hand smacked your ass over and over again. Your cries got louder, and the more he spanked you, the more turned on you got. You felt the wetness pulling between your legs again. Finally, you started begging him again. Bray, fuck me, now! He turned you around so that you were facing him again. I don't like your tone. Why don't you ask Daddy nicely? He started wiggling his cock around, teasing your pussy as he wouldn't enter you yet. You did as he said. Please, Daddy. He pulled his cock away, making you whine for him. Please what? Please, Daddy. Fuck me. I need you inside of me. Please fuck me, Daddy. Your whining seemed to please him as he finally pushed his cock inside of you. You moaned out in a mixture of pain and pleasure. He wasn't even all the way in you yet. He stopped concerned since it was your first time. Are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this? Yes! Please, Daddy! I want all of you inside me! This was all he needed to hear as he pushed his cock all the way in. He gave you a moment to adjust to his size. You were in pain, but slowly, that pain turned into pleasure as he started moving inside of you. His cock left you for a moment, almost causing you to whine, but then he slammed back into you again, causing him to moan. You finally figured out what to do as you started moving your hips against his, matching every thrust. He wrapped his hand around your throat. This was the choking part you wanted. It added to the excitement. You thrust into each other, and you could feel your back hit the wall over and over again. The sound of skin slapping skin filled the room, as well as your moans and his grunts as he thrust into you. You could feel yourself getting close again, and he picked up the pace and thrust into you as hard as he could. At this point, you could care less about how loud you were being or getting caught. You were having your brains fucked out by Bray Wyatt. You had never felt pleasure like this before. His grip on your throat tightened as he was getting close too. It was getting hard to breathe. Finally, you came together and called out each other's names. Both of you had to catch your breath, and you finally felt his grip on your throat loosen. He slowly untied your hands. You enjoyed the feeling of being vulnerable, but your hands ached and you could feel your knees going to give out. You collapsed on top of Bray, knocking him off his feet. You looked down into his eyes and he looked up into yours as you both had to catch your breath. You were the first to speak. That was amazing! It was! Who knew you had that freaky side to you? It was just something that I really wanted. You both started gathering your clothes and you checked the time. People usually start coming in by now. You changed your clothes and went over to kiss Bray again. Thank you, Bray. We'll have to do this again sometime. Bray smirked at her, then spoke. Oh, believe me, we'll see each other again. Probably sooner than you think. He winked at you. This sent a shiver down your spine as you thought about going through all of this again. You had to get ready for your match, so you thanked Bray again and went on your way. Once your match was over, you wandered the halls again, hoping to run into Bray again. You almost left disappointed until you felt a pair of hands grab you again. You knew it was him when he laughed. Can't stay away, can you? He gave you a smirk, and it was then that you knew he was about to rock your world all over again. The end. Thank you for listening to episode number 97 of WrestleRotica. We hope that you enjoyed this week's stories. If you enjoyed this week's stories, please be sure to like, review, and subscribe to us in iTunes. Visit us elsewhere online, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and as always, our official website, WrestleRoticaPod.com. Thank you and have a good week.